The latest polls on the race for president show Joe Biden leading Donald Trump by an average of 9 to 10 points nationwide. But a lot of people are wondering, can we trust those polls after what happened back in 2016? ABC 10 News anchor Derek Stahl is going in depth to explain how polls work and what went wrong.
The last time Donald Trump was on the ballot in 2016, the polls had him losing to Hillary Clinton by an average of about 3 percentage points. And we all know what happened. But pollsters actually weren't as far off as you might think.
At the national level, the election polls were actually remarkably, given all things, precise.
Trump lost the popular vote by 2 points instead of 3, the most accurate these national polls had been in 80 years. Where the polls did miss badly was at the state level, particularly in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, states critical to the Electoral College. Why? Jay Levy is the CEO of the polling firm Survey USA.
Polling is a very expensive undertaking, and so it is not possible for the handful of media organizations in this country with pockets deep enough to afford a public opinion poll to be able to poll in every critical battleground state.
Underpolling was one of a few reasons, Levy says. Another?
Some of it has to do with what's called weighting.
To understand weighting, you have to first know the 2 R's of a good poll. It needs to be representative and random. Picture adding salt to a soup. If you mix it right, you can check the taste with any 1 spoonful. You don't have to eat the entire pot. That's because each spoonful is a truly random sample. But when you're trying to sample the American public with a political poll, either over the phone or most of the time now online, it's more challenging to get a perfect spoonful.
The challenge is to find the individuals in the right numbers and to secure their cooperation. Those 2 things don't automatically work in sync. People don't want to be disturbed. They want privacy, and a pollster by definition is an interruption.
It turns out certain people resist taking polls, while others are more willing. Research shows people with college degrees are more likely to respond to surveys than high school grads. That means surveys run the risk of not being representative of the voter population at large. So pollsters gather up as many responses as they can and then adjust them with a process called weighting, basically boosting or shrinking responses from people with certain demographics to match census data and the expected turnout.
The weighting criteria that was in issue in 2016 was whether you had enough non-college educated white voters in your sample. If you did, you got the Trump forecast correct.
The state polls in 2016 that didn't weight their results by education level missed badly because education level was more of a stark divide between supporters than in previous elections. So can we trust the polls this time around? Levy says yes, if you remember that polls are just a snapshot in time and Donald Trump is hard to predict.
Don't be surprised if something happens in the final 4, 5, 6 days of the election right before November 3rd. That's so unforeseeable that neither you nor I nor anybody watching us could have imagined it would happen. And if so, that's going to throw all the polls off.
There's evidence that pollsters have learned from their 2016 mistakes. Polling in the 2018 midterms was very accurate, a full point better than the average over the last 20 years. Derek Stahl, ABC 10 News.